I'm going to be making a video for my friend and to show her how to do some of the welding that I've done with the borders, and I'm just going to start from the very beginning. So the first thing we need to do is select new. We're going to be making a new project, and then it's asking me if I want to save my current designs, and I had already done something, so I don't. So the next thing we want to do is select a mat size, and in this case it's going to be 12 by 12, and it brings me right to my mat. The next thing that I want to do is select just two things. One thing I need is a square, and I have Plant and School book up, and I hit shifted lock, and that brings me to the grid where it has the square, and the square is right here. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to bring that back to my mat. I'm going to size that at 10 inches, and I need to get to my basic screen, and right now it's not locked, so I need to lock that. Well, actually I'm going to unlock it because I'm going to make it a perfect square. So I am going to hit 10 inches for the height, 10, and I'm going to go back and hit the width and make that 10. Okay, so that's making a perfect square. And what I did again was there's this little link. It looks like a metal link underneath the width and the height. And what you do is if you select that, that will keep the proportions the same. If you select it again, it'll turn it white, and then you can select whatever height or width you want. And in this case, I want mine to be a perfect 10-inch square, so I had to make the proportions not work. So I'm going to go ahead and put the proportions back on, because I know for the rest of this I'm not going to change my proportions, and I just like to have my proportions on normally. So then the next thing I want to do is, because I'm going to be making a lace border, I am going to go back to my screen, and I'm not going to use the Plant and School book. I'm going to be using Storytime, and I'm going to curse down to find that. Storybook, not Storytime, sorry. And there's my Storytime. The first screen that comes up does not have the image that I want, so I need to hit this image right here, and because I don't have my super duper glasses on, I can't read what it says, but I know that. Oh, and it's going to be shifted. And that's got one of the images that I could use. I think I'm going to go back and select the first button right here, because it's going to have a grouping. Okay, and that grouping is the second row, 1, 2, 3 over, and I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to go back to my, I'm going back here to my mat, and my image, because I didn't change the size, you're going to like this, because I didn't change the size of my cursor, it's as big as a 10-inch. So in order to undo that, just because I did, I'm going to go ahead and show you, is you hit this ungroup. If I hit the ungroup, then it's no longer, it's still going to be that same size, but I can now change the size of that if I want to. But what I'm going to do, because I don't want it that size, I'm just going to select that and select that in blue and X that out. So I'm going to go back to my keyboard thing again and select my border, and it's sitting up there, and I'm going back to my mat, and there's my border. In that background you hear my granddaughter. She is playing with a book with sound, of course, because I'm trying to do this. Okay, so hopefully you can still hear me over that. This right here, I'm selecting my border. Oh, it's in the middle of my square, and because it's in the middle of my square, I can't select it because the square is larger than my image. So the only way to do that is to slide my square down, pull my image up to the top. See, it's blue. As soon as you see that it's blue, that means it's selected. And I'm going to slide my square back up. So I'm going to go ahead and get this so it's closer. And to do this one-handed is not the easiest. Okay, so I've selected, I've pressed this button with my finger, and then I did the cursor to make it closer. And as you can see right now, it's kind of it's further over the square than I want it to be, so I'm going to slide this up as close as I can to the dotted markings all the way around my mat. And now it's not touching at all. Now I'm going to slide just ever so slightly, so it just touches actually 2 of them. And I think you can see the 2 that it's touching. Okay, just to show you how this welds and how this works, I'm not going to add the other stuff on right now. I'm just going to show you how this works. So the next thing you need to do is group these things. At least this is how I do it. You hit the group button. You select the piece you just put on and the piece that's underneath it. They both need to be in blue. Once you've done that, you go back over to this button and you press it. They should be a grouping now. And when I go to put my cursor on here, I should be able to move these around together. That way I know that I have grouped those correctly. Now I'm not going to be doing that when I put a bunch of them on because I'll mess everything up, but just to show you what it looks like when you have a grouping, that's what it should do. Now, in order to weld these 2 pieces together, I need to pick the advanced button. Okay, and then my choices right here are, this is my weld button, and that is exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to select the weld button, and you see the weld button turn totally yellow. That's what I need. The next thing I do, just to double check to make sure I've welded this right, is I hit the I button. And when I do that I button, there's these little bars that come across, and more images you've welded, the longer it takes. But in this case, you can see that everything that's gray has been welded. Everything else will be cut out. So that is a basic thing to do, and I'll just have this in the corner. Now, if I want to go ahead and add these pieces all the way across, this is what I need to do. First, I have to undo my eye. It would not allow me to do any more work. So I undo the eye. Things turn blue. It's still welded. If I hit over to the corner right here, it should turn red. See how that turned red? So I know that it's still welded. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to basic, and I'm going to go ahead and